Welcome in to the Paul Kuharsky podcast. I am Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com. Pleasure to be here with you to talk about what's going on with the Tennessee Titans, who head into a home game finally after a 3-game road stand, if you will, to take on their former coach Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots at Nissan Stadium Sunday at noon. Lots going on this week. Brian Callahan fired, Mike McCoy in as the interim coach. Vrabel coming to town. As I mentioned, the Drake Maye, high-quality quarterback, coming with him. I'm at Edley's Barbecue, 12 South, one of their many fine locations in and around Middle Tennessee. Delicious barbecue. I will be having lunch after we spend our fine hour together. The best barbecue around, some of the best food around. I cannot wait. Let's accelerate. We are going to talk about Mike McCoy's debut, Drake Maye, Titans on tempo, Titans' inability to run screens, their trouble on edge, where they finally got a decent game out of their edge rushers and could conceivably be without all three of the guys that had that production. The return of Tavandre Sweat, which we're expecting, and much more, obviously taking your questions. And in about a half an hour, we will be joined by Positive PK, an unbelievable guest, high comedy, and just fantastic content. So we look forward to hearing from Positive PK. Pleased to see you, Robert Draper, Jay, Joe, Robert, Next Hurdle, Sergey, and many more to come. Good to hear from you, and good to see you. Joe loves the 12 South vacation. Robert Stewart asks, would Kenneth Adams be any better than Miss Amy? I don't call her Miss Amy. I don't know why everybody insists on calling her Miss Amy. Would Kenneth Adams be any better than Amy? I think they'd be cut from the same cloth. We have no idea really about Kenneth Adams. It's very, he's, even more in the background than she is, in that we've never heard him talk at all. We don't know what he stands for or what he's about. We know that they are very closely tied together, spend a lot of time together. They are at games together. And that's about the extent of it. Here's some good things about him. Think he, has big aspirations, but he's not in the building on a regular basis from the accounts that I get. The guy who's in the building on a regular basis and really eager to learn is Bryce Wasserman, the son-in-law. Now, the son-in-law is not part of the ownership group, but he is Chad Brinker's right-hand man. So he's going to have a position of power/influence in that front office for the duration of Amy's ownership, for sure. Amy told me, back when we used to speak, that the plan is definitely for Kenneth to ultimately take over, but she put no timetable on that. Robert Draper says, take on Mike Vrabel and the Patriots is kind of like how Poland took on Germany in 1939. I tend to feel the same way. As I've said, I don't often have strong feelings about games, and I don't often predict games, which really puts me on the hook when I do predict a game, because my game predictions aren't watered down. So I'm sure I'll take a beating if the Titans somehow find a way to win this one. But I see a complete Vrabel-led bloodbath. I don't see the Titans slowing down Drake Maye, who's going against a weakened pass rush, and I don't see the Titans scoring the kind of points they're going to need to score. And I think given a chance to pile it on a little bit, that Mike Vrabel will do so as a thank you to Amy Adams-Strunk and to Burke Nihill and to Chad Brinker. Jay asks, who's going to start at edge this week? So Femi Oladejo is out. He's on IR with a fractured leg. That's not going to cost him the season from what I've reported. Arden Key hasn't practiced this week. Draymond Jones practiced Wednesday, did not practice Thursday. All three of these guys played much better last week in Las Vegas. Drew Beatty did a film review of the three of them and what made them finally better in this game. I'd hold out hope maybe for Jones, but the replacements are, Hadi Ward, who's been playing more inside, would be more outside. And then Ali Gay, who's been on the practice squad, who's been called up. And Jalen Harrell, who's been very much just a special teamer and not a guy who's been asked to play outside linebacker. That is a weak bunch. I mean, the Titans have a weak bunch in the guys who are hurt. And to go to their backups is an exceedingly weak bunch. Let's talk a little bit about good morning, John. Let's talk a little bit about Cam Ward right now. We've got some clips here to share. Let's start with Mike McCoy on his expectations for Cam Ward.
Like we talked about the other day, it's going to be every week he's going to learn something new, and it's going to be a rookie quarterback. It's tough, no doubt about it. It's the hardest position to play, and I've told him a number of times in the last couple of days that I've seen him, it's just keep plugging along. It's just one day at a time, keep getting better. Cam has a burning desire to be great. A burning desire to be great. And the key thing I always tell him, just trust the system. And go out there and be you, have fun, be Cam. All right?
Trusting the system, I mean, I don't think Cam has strayed from trusting the system, but I think the system is failing him. We'll get more into that as we go. He also, look, his mechanics are really, some of us have hesitated to use the word regressed because it's not like he had ever had it made and then came away from that. But they've gotten worse. This last game, I mean, Blake Bedingfield pointed out in his piece that Cam was drifting off his midline unnecessarily. So he had clear space in front of him, but he drifted over behind the left guard, who was further in the backfield than the center and the midline were. That doesn't make a lot of sense. He's throwing, falling backwards, and his footwork is really bad. All of those things contributing to the really bad completion percentage, 55%. I think he's one of 5 or one of 6 guys starting his first 6 games as a rookie to have a completion percentage of 55% or worse. Now, a couple of the guys on that list turned out to be pretty good. Carson Palmer, one of them. I'm forgetting the other really good one. So, that lends some hope that things can get corrected. But really just discouraging. They extended the individual periods this week, McCoy did. So the periods where the quarterbacks are working just on quarterback stuff with quarterback coach and the tight ends and, position by position work. I asked Cam about some of those mechanical issues.
I didn't think I was throwing off my back foot a lot, unless you can tell me to play. But I made it slipped up because whether I have to move in the pocket or whether it's getting out or stepping up. But then I have to be accurate with the football. I have to give my receivers a chance to make plays for us and give them a chance to go score a touchdown.
How about drifting?
I just think it's more of a feel in the pocket that I have, whether it's just going to check the ball down. Then also it's something that I've had throughout college, and that's something that I'm trying to clean up just less of it. And then also at times when I need to.
acknowledging it, something he had in college that he's trying to clean up. It's frustrating. Understand, young guy, going to make some mistakes, have some habits that he falls back into, needs to get better at. But when you see a game like the Las Vegas game, where he dropped back as often as he did and he made as many mistakes in these departments as he did, it's hard not to be discouraged and to wonder, how long is it going to take? 6-game sample, way too quick. A lot of people on social media making determinations way too quickly on him, way too quickly on Jackson Dart, who's played 2 games? Way too soon. But hard not to be discouraged right now about the learning curve right now. And how much of this can be boosted by a week of Mike McCoy's attitude and adjustments. We'll see. I don't think a hell of a lot. What happened to Kaiser White? I mean, they called him up and played him. And then Cedric Gray emerged. Cedric Gray happened to Kaiser White. Is Ridley going to be out? I would suspect so. I mean, a hamstring is usually going to take a guy out, take a receiver out for a while. If Traylon Burks ends up being a stud on the new team, Robert will be at a loss for words. We're just cursed if that's the case. I really wouldn't count on it. I mean, guy doesn't have tremendous heart, doesn't have tremendous fight, and doesn't have tremendous health. So I just don't see it. Is Arthur Smith a real possibility here? Were bridges burned with his departure? Not at all. I mean, most guys that leave for a head coaching job. Hey, thank you so much. When you leave for a head coaching job, I don't know how you burn bridges unless you're real ass about it. I don't know. Something did happen between Mike Vrabel and LaFleur when LaFleur left, but that's not an organizational burn. That was something went a little bit south between Vrabel and LaFleur, I think. Arthur Smith left on great terms with the coaching staff, and I think the ownership wished both those guys nothing but good things as they left. But I mean, Arthur Smith, I think, would definitely get a chance to interview here. I mean, if Amy's chiming in, she loves familiarity. So I would imagine Arthur Smith and Jim Schwartz would be on her list. Not that her list should have much of a bearing on things, but it's going to. Andrew Luck was the other guy with Carson Palmer. Thank you, Mike S. On those guys that had a 55 completion percentage or worse in their first 6 games as rookie starters. They came out of it pretty well. Quarterback mechanics, Tall Texan says, are a thing of the past league-wide. Arm angles have taken over, and that's a very bad thing. Well, I don't think they're a thing of the past. I think guys come in with worse mechanics. And certainly in Cam Ward's career, I don't imagine he was getting premier coaching about quarterback mechanics at Incarnate Word. I would think at Washington State he's thriving on just raw talent. And at Miami, raw talent is carrying him more than anything. Then he gets into a place where the mechanics become more important, and he's got less of a background in those things than maybe some of his contemporaries, and certainly than some guys who have been in the league for 3 years. And as we enter this era of second chance quarterbacks with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith, who is nothing great right now, but this class of quarterbacks who are doing things, Daniel Jones, doing things in their second stops after taking their lumps in their first stops and getting with better coaches the second time around. We see what spending some time in the league, playing poorly and maybe with poor organizations does to a guy, and then how he can reemerge in a second act in a better situation, having learned some stuff. Now, certainly if you're a Titans fan, you hope That's not going to be the case with Cam Ward. You hope that they hire somebody for this head coaching job who was able, he or his offensive coordinator, even if he's an offensive coach, he and his offensive coordinator are able to get him on the right track faster. A lot of drops. Yeah, more drops than most quarterbacks, but every quarterback has drops factored in to their completion percentage. Every quarterback has throwaways factored in to their completion percentage. So, it's not doing that much damage to his completion percentage as compared to his peers. Do I see more two tight end sets and quicker passes to the tight ends and backs and more away from the abysmal screen game? I would like to see that. I mean, the abysmal screen game, how long do you stick with it and beat your head against the wall for something that's not working? Chim DK, can be the target on some of those plays. I don't think he can be the blocker. Bill Barnwell put out 3 clips of Titans screens where the Titans had the numerical advantage when the ball arrived, and in no time the plays were blown up. Plays were blocked poorly, and the ball carrier just couldn't do anything. And it's got to be as bad a screen game as there is in the league. Now, some of these plays are run solutions, but that's fine, but they're not solving anything. I mean, if it's a run solution, you're getting out of something where the defensive alignment is unfavorable, where it'd be more favorable to get the ball out there in space and with fewer people to block in a hurry, and you're not doing a good enough job with that. So let's go here to Nick Holtz talking about the failures of the screen game.
Yeah, it's fair. I think that sometimes we've had some issues. You know what I mean? A couple one of those we've had some matchup issues, and then a couple of them they are kind of run solutions where maybe we shouldn't throw it as well, and maybe that ball should be handed off, and we're kind of putting those guys in not advantageous situations. So there's been a couple of those, but it's about kind of one of the guys on one of them, the screen kind of stopped short. So then the blocker had a better angle. He should keep stretching it for width. So it's a bunch of little details, but we just got to keep working them. And, it's a physical game out there, and we got to kind of meet the challenge.
Well, plus you got to keep working them as a practice and get that shit to work in practice. Now, maybe it's working in practice against scout team, but it's not working in the game. And I don't want to see 5 of them if the first 2 are blown up. Get away from them. Now, he says there, and people are going to say they're throwing Cam under the bus, that they've thrown some that they shouldn't have thrown, that they've gone to run solutions when they shouldn't have gone to run solutions. I don't have a problem with that. I'm sure they've told Cam that. And this, to me, is a Mike Mularkey sort of press dealing. And some people had a beef with Callahan saying after the Las Vegas game that Cam needs to play better. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Cam needs to play better. And if Cam is throwing run solution screens when he should be handing the ball off, and they've talked with Cam about that, which I'm sure they have, I have no problem with them saying that to the media. That's not throwing him under the bus. Mike Mularkey was a pretty pointed guy with the press about accountability issues, about saying guys made mistakes. But he made it clear. He did not say anything in the press that he had not already covered thoroughly with players in meetings, private conversations, or whatever. I'm sure in meetings, right? They would have a meeting where they talked about, hey, you're throwing these screens. I'm now planting Mularkey in current times. But he would have had a meeting with the quarterbacks and probably with the offense where it talked about, we're going to run solutions too often here. Look at this alignment still allows for run. We should be handing the ball off here. Why are we throwing a screen? Have a conversation about that. Then when the question comes up in the media, it'd be frank about it. I think that's a good thing. It gives us answers. CA says, good to see you, CA. If McCoy wins Amy, she will keep him. Another Mike. Also, Brinker likes McCarthy, another Mike. People are fascinated with the name stuff, and there are an awful lot of Mikes. If McCoy wins Amy, he's saying if he wins her over. The thing is that Amy, I think, was around, certainly, I mean, it was right at the beginning of her takeover. So she was around a lot more to be won over by Mike Mularkey than she will be now when she's in hiding to be won over by Mike McCoy. So is Chad Brinker won over by Mike McCoy? I would certainly think that Chad Brinker's idea here, unless he's been nudged by Amy to give Mike McCoy every chance, is to look, she's getting ripped for her failure to have any kind of continuity organization-wise over the last 5 years. But I hope she doesn't misconstrue those calls for continuity as people wanting somebody from Brian Callahan to be in place long term. If you have the whole world of available coaches available to you going forward here in a coaching search, you've got to take the opportunity to talk to that whole world. And again, I've always said this, and I think Bill Polian did this. There are other executives who did this. You talk to as many people as you can. So you should have Lanning in from Oregon if he'll come, even if you don't think you get him, to pick his brain about what he would do with Cam Ward and what he sees, what value he sees on the Titans roster and doesn't. You know, I don't think there's any circumstance under which they should hire James Franklin. But it would be interesting to learn what James Franklin thinks about what they have and what they should do. So I think you get everyone who, you know, is a hireable, reasonably hireable guy. You know, I'd have 15 people in to pick as many brains as I could. Young up and comers that you don't think are quite ready, who maybe prove you wrong. Minter and Hafley, two young defensive coordinators, might be ready, could be great. And then, you know, there's a lot of delicate items here in terms of, you know, can you hire another young up-and-comer after you just hired a young up-and-comer? Can you hire another nice guy after you just hired a nice guy? Does the pendulum have to swing all the way back to a asshole-ish type like Vrabel? I mean, I think there's too much overreaction as you have to hire the opposite of what you just had. And so I think that would be a disappointment. So I don't know. I want them to be very careful with that. Talking to positive PK here. Give me one moment to set things up. Sending him his invitation so that he could join us. Positive PK coming up in about 7 minutes. So we will get to some other things before he joins us. Nick says he really doesn't care about Restrepo, but if he and Cam have a good connection and he catches the ball consistently, then put him on the field. I don't care about Restrepo's 40 time. Put players on the field who can catch the ball. Here's the thing about Cam. Cam has had people open at Restrepo level and gone past them to a deeper level. I'm kind of curious how he was hitting him so much at Miami as a shorter receiver. Now Restrepo ran a lot at Miami uncovered, having broken free in a way that he's not going to be able to do at the NFL level if and when he gets on the field. But and Lockett, you know, a lot of us are not interested in seeing much of Tyler Lockett. I'd rather see DK and James Prochet, who quite frankly is ahead of Restrepo on the line and has seen that he got called up, not Restrepo, when they had a Ridley issue. They didn't end up using Restrepo. But if you're throwing beyond that underneath receiver anyway, that underneath receiver is not going to matter that much. Cam Ward told Mike Silver of The Athletic, I'm not playing how I want to play. I'm not playing how I want to play right now. So once I play how I want to play, I think the league will be fucked. All right. it's left some room for interpretation about how he wants to play. Was he talking about the level of play, how he wants to play, or kind of the style of play, how he wants to play? And we got some clarification from Cam Ward on this when he spoke to the media on Wednesday.
Just from, I say the biggest thing, just from how can I put it? The freeness of it, the fluidity of the game from operation standpoint to my liking, to getting out of the huddle. And I think the biggest thing is just, me being better every play. I haven't played my best ball. And I think just once I'm, playing to my standard that I put on myself, we'll be able to take care of a lot of stuff on offense.
You meant more your individual play as opposed to in a system that fit you better.
Yeah.
So that's an important distinction. And I thought that's what he meant. I think most of us thought that's what he meant. And it is, in fact, what he meant. We talked about the edge problems. Femi Oladejo, not a great player, but one of their three best, obviously, and he's played better. Played better in Las Vegas. Draymond Jones did not practice yesterday. Arden Key had not practiced the last two games. Last two days, and he's been hurting. Here's Denard Wilson on Titans' status at edge.
Yeah, we have young guys that have played last year. Ali's played, Jalen has played defensive end for us. So if they need to step up and go in there, they have some time on task and some reps, so they're ready to play.
Could be a little disappointing considering a good game once and probably down a lot.
Yeah, those guys are progressing, they're getting better. So, you want to miss the production, the attitude. I think they were all clicking up front. All four guys, really 5 or 6 that were playing. So you'll miss the production, but in this business, it's next man up. We've seen it throughout this year. We've seen it around the NFL. The next guy got to step up and play and make the plays he's supposed to make.
Next man up, that's fine. Next men are bad. The men they're replacing are bad. Let's see if Positive PK is here. Do I have Positive PK in the room? I think I might have to bring Positive PK up in a fashion like this. Give me a second here. Do I have Positive PK in the house?
Hey, Sport. How you doing there, Sport?
Hey, what's up, Chief? How we
I'm
doing?
doing great. It's a beautiful day. Positive PK's feeling positive. I cannot wait for some Titans football on Sunday, Sport. Can't wait.
Why would you be so excited at what is, I think, potentially going to be, among the greatest beatdowns with Mike Vrabel, who surely is not happy with didn't leave with great feelings for Amy Adams Strong, Burke Nihill, Chad Brinker. I think he's going to come in here, Positive PK, with a vengeance to put a hurting on this team. He's got a good quarterback. They're 4-2. They're quite a bit better than the Tennessee Titans.
It's a new beginning there, Negative PK. What are you talking about? The Mike McCoy era. I've been waiting for this for so long. Mike McCoy has brought a breath of fresh air to this Tennessee Titans team. They are going to come out with their hair on fire. Mike Vrabel has no idea what he's getting into on Sunday, Sport. It is going to be a party on the Cumberland River. I'm telling you right now, Titans by a million, Sport.
So in a Mike McCoy versus a Mike Vrabel, you like McCoy?
I love McCoy. He's the real McCoy. He's the real McCoy, Negative poopy pants. I'm telling you. He's got this team humming, this offense. I'm telling you, 35 points. Cam Ward is going to look like Tom Brady out there. I'm telling you, it's going to be a party on Sunday. I cannot wait. I'm so positive about this game. It is going to be a breakout performance for the Tennessee Titans. Can't wait, Sport. Can't wait.
Do you like McCoy in the visor? He famously wears a visor. We are both bald, obviously, PK and Positive PK. A visor for us is like an invitation to God to burn us with the rays of the sun. For Mike McCoy, obviously, it works. You don't have any visors, do you?
I've got plenty of visors. See, here in the bizarro positive world that I live in, everything's positive. The visors are positive, and you'll see Mccoy. He's got that beautiful head of gray hair. It's going to be glistening in the sun. Without the benefit of a hat through that visor, he's going to look like $1 million. And so are the Titans on Sunday. Can't wait, sport.
Cam's mechanics, I love the squeak that you do. Cam's mechanics are all screwed up. How could you possibly think that Cam Ward is going to come out and be mechanically sound enough to complete, say, more than 55% of his passes?
Well, here's the thing that you don't know there, Mr. Debbie Downer. You call yourself an intrepid reporter, you get all the scoop. I got the scoop. Cam Ward has been taking ballroom dancing lessons all week, sport. His footwork is going to look like Fred Astaire out there. He's going to be throwing darts all over the place. Minimum 5 touchdown passes against the Patriots. It's going to be a performance for the ages. Can't wait, sport.
The edges played pretty well in Las Vegas. Draymond Jones made a big showing. Femi Oladejo played his best game yet. Now he's on IR. Arden Key on track not to play. Draymond Jones hurt and maybe out. We're going to see huge names like Ali Gay and Jalen Harrell, perhaps. Titans stink at edge, and now we're going to see backups to the edge. Surely you can't expect any pass pressure on Drake Maye.
What are you talking about? Are you nuts? You got to be a lot more positive. Allie Gay, Jalen Harrell, 5 sacks each. I'm telling you, it's going to be like the old days of the 85 Bears sport. They are coming off that edge, and they're hunting for Drake Maye. In fact, I hope it doesn't happen because that would be a negative thing. But on the positive side, Drake Maye doesn't finish the game for the Patriots on Sunday. Mark it down, sport.
They're going to hurt Drake Maye with their vicious pass.
They are coming with a vengeance, sport. I'm telling you.
Only a couple more questions. I know you're very, very busy because you have so much positivity to spread. I know you saw the report a couple weeks ago now that I had where a sales guy trying to sell tickets to the new Nissan Stadium told a friend of mine that Titans fans are very happy. Now, maybe he had just talked to you, but what did you think of this sales tactic?
I thought it was brilliant because it's never been a better time to be a Tennessee Titans fan. Are you kidding me? We got a new coach coming in next year. We got a new stadium coming in 2027. I'm telling you, we're going to host a Super Bowl, a WrestleMania, a Final Four, a college football championship game, and the Tennessee Titans are going to start their run of 4 Super Bowl wins in 5 years. It has never been a more positive and better time to be a Titans fan, sport. And, too bad negative people like you aren't going to be along for the ride. Because guess what? When the bandwagon starts, you're not invited on there, sport.
4 and 5 years. What happens in the year that they slip up?
Cam Ward, high ankle sprain, misses 6 weeks. They follow the playoff race. But they're right back on the horse next year, sport.
All right, here's something you could actually be positive about. Their chances at the number 1 pick for a second year in a row. They're in a fight now with the Jets, who haven't won a game, and the Browns and the Saints, who also only have 1 win. How is this fight for the number 1 pick going to sort itself out?
Well, let me tell you something. The Titans are going to be nowhere near that number 1 pick because they're going to run the table the rest of the season and make the playoffs. How about that, sport? So you forget your mock drafts and your number 1 picks and your Mel Kiper Jr. and his hair and its stupid predictions. I think positively. We're running the table with Mike McCoy, the real McCoy, and we're going to win this division and get in the playoffs.
You're taking the whole family to the game this weekend, and how will you cheer for both Mike McCoy and salute Mike Vrabel for his tenure with the Titans?
Once ball meets foot there, Mr. Negative, all bets are off. Go Titans. Tighten up, baby. Mike Vrabel, respect him. I'll talk to him before the game. I'll tell him, how much I respect him and what a positive influence he's been with the Patriots. But then after that, it's all Titans. 2-tone blue, blowout win on Sunday. Can't wait, sport.
Ladies and gentlemen, positive PK. We were overdue for a visit with all this negativity going on. I know you hate my negativity. There's the most positive Titans person in or around Tennessee. I think he's in Tennessee. I don't even know where he's from. This guy's pretty low key. You could see why he hides himself. He wouldn't be very popular amongst all you other negative people. I can't thank you enough for taking the time. Go spread your sunshine.
Anytime you want to come over to the bizarro positive world, there, Mr. Negative Poopy Pants, you're not welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I won't be there. Thank you very much, Positive PK. Always a pleasure.
Stay positive.
That's Positive PK. I hope you mixed reviews. He's getting mixed reviews in the comments. I'm surprised you don't love him as much as I do. I think he's an absolute home run, and he will be back. There's another guest I'm working on who I think will also be just as good. So we will see about that. Let me tell you about Edley's Barbecue. I'm here in 12 South. They've got restaurants in Nolensville, in Franklin at the factory, Franklin and Berry Farm, Sylvan Park, East Nashville, Donaldson, Gallatin. Terrific, all of them. You come, hospitality's terrific. The food is terrific. The portions are fantastic. The prices are reasonable. Get yourself a nice cold drink as well. A great variety of beers and cocktails. If you can't come to Edley's, or if you prefer to have your barbecue at home, download the Edley's app. Fees have gotten out of control on these delivery apps. We know double up the price for having dinner at home with your family. Edley's is not like that. They do their own delivery, and it's very, very reasonable. They want you to feel like they're in the restaurant, and they want to lower your costs. It makes your barbecue experience as smooth as possible. So get the app on your phone. I've got it. I like to eat in the restaurant, but once in a while, the family wants to eat at home, and I'll dial up the app. Will Newman runs this whole operation. It's as good as can be. I will be having burnt ends. Can you smell? Can you smell? I'll be having burnt ends as soon as we finish up here. It will take a yeoman's effort for me to make it to an hour here, because I am hungry and there is food cooking right behind me that I am desperate to eat. Edley's Barbecue, 12 South, Nolensville, Franklin at the factory, Franklin and Berry Farm, Sylvan Park, East Nashville, Donaldson, Gallatin. One of those is in range of you. Visit, eat, be happy. I am grateful for their support and for your support of them. Our thanks to Edley's and Will Newman. I made picks last week. I took New England -3.5 against the Saints, and the Patriots delivered. I took Tampa Bay giving 3 against the 49ers, and Tampa Bay won in big fashion. I took Detroit getting 2.5, and they got crushed by 13 against the Chiefs. That made for a 2-1 record for the weekend, and puts me at 9-5 picking games against the spread this year. I've got 2 for you this week. One of them's not going to be a surprise. My most recent post is that I don't have a gut feeling very strong about Titans games, and I rarely pick them. I'm picking this one, I think. And I've been saying this all season. I've been saying this since Mike Vrabel got the New England job, because we knew Titans and Patriots were going to play, that the Titans are going to lose this game, and they're going to lose it badly. Mike Vrabel's coming in with a vengeance. He's got a better football team. He's got a quarterback who is doing good things. And I would take New England -6.5. I think it's going to be much bigger than that. I also like, and this is the first time I'm straying from just a straight spread. I like Seattle on the money line over Houston. They are -3.5. I think it's a field goal game. Seahawks are 3-0 on the road, but only 1-2 at home. I think it's probably a field goal game. I'll take Seattle over Houston on the money line. So those are my 2 picks for the week. I want to get back to something. I'll come to questions in just a minute. I wanted to get to this one thing here that is really something bad that Nick Holtz said. I've been talking about tempo, right? And I talked to somebody not with the Titans who talked about the difficulty with putting a young quarterback in tempo is generally you want to slow the game down if you've got a young quarterback, not look to get additional plays and additional series, because that expands the number of plays and the chances for him to make a mistake or for your offensive line to get him hit or for all of those things. And if you go tempo, you're likely adding plays. The Titans really bleed the play clock down, to a degree that's frustrating to many of us. But here's what Nick Holtz said about the Titans getting into tempo, where Cam Ward said he'd like to live if he can, but he knows it's not real football.
There's a little bit of that. I think we would love to do tempo, but you got to get a first down first. You know what I mean? To sit there and go, incomplete on first down, rush the ball, run it on second down, and then go incomplete on third down, where a 12-second drive really isn't helping the team. So until we can get the first down and really kind of start moving the ball, it's really hard to do any of this tempo. We wanted to do it, but we have to kind of almost earn the right by staying on the field. I think that's the really the biggest crux of it, where we can't change tempos at this point.
Yeah, I think you've got to damn call some plays that get those first three plays going too. I mean, I understand the players haven't made the plays there, but that's some coaching failure as well, right? So got to earn the right to get into tempo. I think that's a little bit. It's not like pass rushers earning the right by stopping the run to rush the quarterback. I wouldn't put it in that same category. So I just thought that was a little bit odd there. Let's see what you guys are up to. Patriots running game is non-existent. This is another thing. Jeff Simmons said something like, what they do with Drake Maye is, set him up with the run game. He's keyed by the run game. Patriots are 27th, as Banksy fan is pointing out here. Patriots are 27th in rushing offense, 91.5 yards per game. Drake Maye, maybe they want him to be run reliant. I'm sure they do. But Drake May's got 10 touchdowns, 2 picks, 221 yards a game, and they're scoring 25 points a game, and they're doing it without a very effective run game. So they've got he's also Drake Maye. Here's a bonus with Drake Maye: 3.8 yards a carry and 14 first downs through 6 games. That's a nice extra thing. Back to the tempo idea. Mike McCoy said they're practicing faster. They're practicing with tempo. I don't think he's talking specifically about offense playing with tempo as in no huddle, but we practice the way you want to play. While he talks about tempo, that's interesting. Can't call anyone getting an NFL check a loser, but man, that guy comes close. Holtz is a good guy, and he's in a tough spot right now where he's asked to speak for all of this stuff that he obviously is not making a lot of decisions. Dana loves positive PK, and Dana, I've always said about Dana that she's got excellent taste. Shot by Buddha says he'd never seen me smile so much, and Jonathan White says it's a great segment. Jordan Pace asks if we've confirmed positive PK and Nick Holtz haven't been in the same room before. Coaches who wear visors, Awaken says, usually end up being fired. Well, all coaches end up being fired, but I would welcome more examples of visor coaches. I'm trying to think. Josh McDaniels, a big visor guy. I don't know who are visor coaches. That is not AI. Nathan DeWitt said, what in the AI is this? I would not bring on an AI guest without telling you. I don't know. Maybe I would, but that is not an AI guest. That is a live man. Is it true that Tom Jones was Brian Callahan's Lady Macbeth? Tom Jones was Brian Callahan's Stretch. And I did not get any indications whatsoever that Tom Jones was as good at his job as Stretch was. Kirby Smart is a big visor guy, and he has not been fired. Now, that is absolute bullshit where he's calling timeout to discuss the clapping, and they don't charge him with the timeout. That was one of the more corrupt moments in college football game action. And I'm not a huge college football watcher, so I don't have a huge bank. But, I mean, I follow, college football highlights on a week-to-week basis during my career. It's an absolute corrupt moment. Wisenhunt was a visor guy. I don't think he was always in a visor. He was sometimes in a visor. Not unusual for a right-hand man to also be let go. Not at all. I just hate the fact that Tom Jones, from my reporting, had an influence on the end of a long-term Titan career. And now he's gone. A guy like that comes and goes. Gil Beverly, who was another come and go Titans executive. He wasn't on the coaching staff. But and look, I left the zone of my own volition, and I've talked about it being a mistake. But did Gil Beverly complicate things for me with 104.5 The Zone in my negotiations with them? Absolutely. And was Gil Beverly a guy that left a lasting imprint with the Titans or had any meaning in the history of the Titans? Absolutely not. It's a guy that came in and tried to implement new shit, and his boss, Burke Nihill, didn't like him. I made a mistake by not going over Gil Beverly's head on the issues that Gil Beverly had with me with the radio station. But this is just another one of those samples where a guy who comes in passing through the night with the Tennessee Titans influences things that are much more long-term than he is. And I hate that in the organization. I hate that in the organization. Jay Weddle says that he thinks positive PK pushes the value of membership way up. We'll have to get him behind the paywall. Am I surprised that Ryan Tannehill hasn't resurfaced? You are some. Is he hurt still? I mean, I think his time has passed. He's been out for what? 2 seasons now? I mean, I think if he wanted to back in, he was probably looking for a special situation. He didn't find it, and I think he's probably content with that now. His arm's not getting any stronger while he's out. For Tom Jones, it's not unusual, says Nicholas Patron. Bravo. Doris has been waiting for this episode, the positive PK episode. The Titans are rudderless, says Joe Blacko. I think he's absolutely correct. And I've written, I think the one hope is Borgonzi. Now I understand he's been here the least amount of time, and he doesn't have the biggest history, but I do think he's the most viable. His short resume is the best. Got the best reputation around the league, I think. If I'm trusting anyone in the circle of people the Titans have that they're asking you to trust, for me, it's Mike Borgonzi. Any chance that James Williams pushes Barton at the other inside linebacker spot? He seems so much more athletic. He has the speed that Barton lacks. No, I don't think so. I think Barton's in there. I think he's not as good as they thought he would be. I think he's good on the leadership front and on the organizational front, but I don't think he's as good of a player. And they're the Titans overvaluing a guy. Ed Henry just with a brilliant line, and I will take this straight to Jim Wyatt. Wyatt needs to write a visor article. I will eat here, and I will go to the Titans. And as soon as I see Jim Wyatt, I will bring him that idea. I think it's actually something he should do. First-person visor article. Doris asks, am I on the side of defensive head coach with promising OC or offensive head coach or just best resume available? I will say that the thing where a defensive head coach is going to lose his offensive coordinator and create a problem for himself in a cycle doesn't seem to be the issue around the league that it was for Vrabel here. That eases my concerns a little bit. Also, there are offensive coaches getting fired, like Mike McDaniel, who I don't think is going to refresh himself as an offensive head coach, again, because things have gone so poorly in Miami. So if whoever the Titans hire as a defensive head coach could get Mike McDaniel as a offensive coordinator, I would take that. So I do think guys like Sala and Brian Flores are among the most interesting coaching candidates. I'm a little bit scared, but also I think like the recent hiring of a lot of offensive coordinators has thinned the pool. I don't know that there are great candidates right now. The coordinator candidates seem to be defensive guys to me. Minter, the guy in Green Bay, is it Halfley? I think Arthur Smith has some potential. I'd really want to hear, Arthur Smith, what he says about his failures and oddities in personnel use in Atlanta, and hear from people who worked with him in Atlanta about his qualities as a leader of men. But he's a very bright guy and obviously would understand as well as any candidate could how to work with Amy Adams Strunk. Robert says, I think the Colts' new owner being on the sidelines is brilliant. It shows the players she is watching and will hold everyone accountable. Very interesting. I think she's more of a football person than Amy Adams Strunk. I mean, if we saw Amy Adams Strunk on the sidelines holding a clipboard, I think it would be, I want her to be present, but visible in that way, I think, could turn into laughable for her. Where do I stand on Mike McCarthy? I think Mike McCarthy would be a good coach. I don't know that he would be a great coach. He's obviously had good results. He was earlier with Aaron Rodgers than I thought. So it did have a lot to do with Aaron Rodgers' development. Dak Prescott obviously was already developed when he got here. Here's the one thing that concerns me. When he was with Dallas, they were on Hard Knocks or one of those things. They showed him showing Austin Power clips to his team. His team had no idea who Austin Powers was. It was very out of date, and it made me feel like he had some dinosaur in him. And I think you really need some relatability with your players, and I wonder if he's not maybe past that. Amy spends more time in Nashville, I think, than she gets credit for, or she did, just as some fact checking. Jay says, why don't we tell Cam to run if the pass isn't there? He was a running quarterback in high school. Yeah, being a running quarterback in high school is a long way from being a running quarterback in the NFL. He's not a running quarterback. He's not a good runner. A lot of people got tied up in this. He's Steve McNair, which was the thing that came up during the draft. He's not Steve McNair. I'm Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com, the best site for Titans news and analysis. You should join. It's $7.50 a month. It's the price of a fancy beer or a nice cup of coffee, or less than a cocktail, right? Less than a beer, probably. At my site, you're going to get really super candid stuff, insight that a lot of people don't have. I've covered the team since 1996 when they were in Houston. I know the insiders in a way that a lot of people, quite frankly, don't. You're going to get stuff from Mike Herndon, who's got a great analytical eye, and he writes a weekly column. Blake Bedingfield, who scouted for the team for 19 years, and it's been written about at The Athletic, was key player in the Titans drafting Derrick Henry, writes a column every Monday breaking down the game from a scout's perspective. How were people used? How weren't they used? Why are they succeeding or why are they failing? Drew Beatty does film reviews on Wednesday that really show you some key element of what's going on with a lot of film. Braden Gall regularly contributes kind of a draft look ahead of what's going on in college football that's the Titans' concern. A lot of content that you are not going to get. 3 podcasts a week. I podcast. I'm the last guy out of the press box every week because I write and then I stay and I do a broadcast for you guys from the press box. Do a midweek report with Sammy Mahmood. And I do this podcast on Fridays. I'll send you a text if you're a member of my site telling you what time those podcasts are happening with a link so that you can go straight to YouTube and watch. Really a ton of value in it. A lot of people here in the comments will tell you. So please come join, support independent journalism. I'm the guy that's pushing for Amy Adams Strunk to get out there and answer for this fiasco that she's created. I think a lot of you appreciate and want that. And without me, it's not going to be there. So let's make sure that I'm there. Thank you for your support. And please let me have a couple new subscribers today. I appreciate it. Go with your questions the rest of the way. Let's really quick. I think I have one more clip here. Jeff Simmons on Tavandre Sweat, who I fully expect will be back in the lineup this week. And it's a big test. Is Tavandre Sweat fit? Is Tavandre Sweat motivated? Here's Jeff Simmons on Tavandre Sweat.
Being able to have him out there, but not taking away from guys like Shy, who them guys been filling in and doing their part. You know, we hell of a job last week of being able to stop the run and last couple of weeks. So I think at the end of the day, when you add that horsepower back in the middle, you know, it make everyone else's job a little easier. So yes, I am excited to have him back.
I just ordered some burnt ends. The bean salad, burnt ends with a bean salad on the side. Gonna be delicious. We'll finish up with what you guys are talking about here. Somebody with an unrecognizable handle says he's afraid Sweat will get his big ass in Jeff's way. I wouldn't worry about that. Look at Quarren Zend. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. Just subscribed. I really appreciate that. He likes all my content and my Titans talk. That's what I'm looking for. I really think. Richard says he thought maybe on AAS went off a couple of weeks ago and the front office calmed her down until they couldn't. I mean, I think this was her move. I think it was pretty clearly her move. Indications I had gotten was that the front office were not anxious to have a early season change. And that's what this qualifies as. So we will see. And the play calling change, I think Callahan knew that needed to happen. So we'll see. What are the chances? What changes can McCoy realistically make on such short notice to help Cam and the team? So seems like not actively sabotaging the team will go a long way to making this terrible team somewhat competitive. I don't know. I mean, the talent just isn't there. So, you know, if Callahan had challenged that play in Denver and they got those 23 or 21 yards, they don't win that game off of that. If they had gone for it on fourth down or kicked the field goal before the delay of game, did they win that game? I mean, I think the dumb things that Callahan was doing certainly exposed his flaws as the CEO coach, but I don't know that they were winning those games if he wasn't doing those things. And I don't think Mike McCoy, presumably not doing those things, gets this team better on a talent perspective. Jeremy Martin says, kills me how people are hanging on to a McCarthy head coaching hire because he won a Super Bowl an eternity ago. Lots of questionable decisions in Dallas. Dinosaur is the key word. Certainly would take him ahead of Gruden. People are just in love with the celebrity coach. Gruden last won a playoff game in 2002. I understand he's a celebrity. I understand he's out there. But you know, he had like 6 winning seasons in 14 years or something like that. That Super Bowl carried him a long, long way. He absolutely won it. Tony Dungy certainly had a hand in it with the roster he helped assemble. I just don't think John Gruden is the right guy. Also, he's going to want a certain power that they're not going to give him because Borgonzi has roster power here. Shooty Buddha says, please let Borgonzi pick his coach and tie them together. It's the only way to have a clear direction. I absolutely agree with that. and still, I wasn't for Callahan being fired last year, because I did want to see them be patient, give the guy a reasonable chance with better players. Obviously, that was the wrong call, but it's been too long since this team had a GM and a coach who were tied together, that came in together, like started at the same time. Has it ever happened? I mean, Fisher and Reese. Fisher was hired by Reese. I don't think it's happened the whole time, and that's just a big concern that it hasn't happened. You got to be on the team. If you're on the same timetable, it's a lot harder to get to a point where you're blaming one or the other instead of both together. And that's what they need. Cliff Kingsbury failed as a head coach, both in the pros and in the college ranks. I would say that Cliff Kingsbury is a good coordinator. Michael says, I get people don't like she fired him, but the Titans team scored 83 points this season, their fewest through 6 games since 1985, per Teron Davenport. That's insane. We are watching the worst offense in 40 years. It really is. I mean, I sympathize with all of you for your misery. And it's admirable that you're enduring what you're enduring. And when you endure the real lows of a team that's been overall mediocre in its history, you're doing it out of hope that things ultimately will get better and entertain you again. And I hope that's the case for you. I hope they nail this coaching hire and things take a turn. But the Titans turn at the pace of the Titanic, while you watch other teams like Washington do it much quicker. And it's just one of those things about this franchise. Sad for you that you've got that, but I hope you'll be at pk.com to find out why. Eat at Edley's Barbecue. They're a great supporter of mine, and I hope you will in turn support them. Join paulkuharsky.com. I will see you on Sunday with a podcast from the Nissan Stadium press box after what I hope is not as bad as I imagine it to be. And don't block the box, but be sure to lock your locks. All my best for a big weekend.